Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the Free for All Friday, and you know what that means. It means you guys run the show. We're going to do our shotgun approach, which is my comments, your comments, my comments, your comments, and we're going to talk about everything that's going on. And, well, there is a revival in interest in the Epstein story. Now, instead of Republicans trying to deny release, now the Democrats are trying to deny release. It's a game. They're all dicking with us. Oh, folks, it has hit the fan. We've got all kinds of stuff out there, but I want to know really what is on your mind. Questions, comments, thoughts down below in the comment section. It's your show. Your show. I've got a lot of things to talk about, but I always want to know what you guys have to think. So I think I'm going to start with this story. This is a fun one. And yes, folks, it's about SHTF. No worries there. Get your comments, quotes, thoughts, everything down below. It is the Friday, and oh yes, Sunday will be our Zoo Sunday Night Live show as well, where everyone's invited. But today, it's a free-for-all Friday. So I've got an odd story. The U.S. State Department is warning Americans who go to Japan to beware of bear attacks. Oh, yeah. Bear attacks is what you should be worried about. Police and military in Japan are killing out-of-control bears. Now, get this. This is how the mainstream media words it. Japanese law enforcement is culling the out-of-control ursine populations. Ursine? Ursine? That means bear. These fucking people, they try and hide the fact, and they use the word culling instead of killing, removing, by killing them. This is what they also are doing to us, by the way. They're culling the population with their vaccinations, their mRNA, their right, genetically modified organisms, their genetically modified mosquitoes, their genetically modified diseases, their genetically modified air, weather. Everything is culling us. Well, we're not killing you. We're going to use the word culling. In any event, the question I had is, we're worried about bears in Japan and American safety. What about the out-of-control fucking Muslims? They're more dangerous and deadly on a frequency than bears. And for Japan, your bears are native and they're being killed. So what about these foreigners that show up who have already shown they're deadly and are going to become more deadly more frequently, and they're not living out in the woods or near the woods. They're going to be in major population areas. Why is the U.S. government worried about Americans traveling abroad instead of worrying about Americans here at home, where we've got Muslims promising to kill us all? I mean, cull us if we don't convert to Islam, where we've got foreign nations controlling our government. And they're doing everything they can to help Bill Gates and his population control agenda, telling white people stop having kids, but we're going to bring in illegals from every country around the planet because we need them and their great skills. All of these architects and doctors, astronauts and dentists, all of these really well-skilled people. We'll talk more about that later, I'm sure. Anyways, bears. We're worried about bear attacks. Meanwhile, you got Gavin Newsom burning down the fucking state, whether it's the forests, old growth forests, or hey, multi-million-dollar properties in LA. Unbelievable. YouTube is back to its old tricks, I guess, or StreamYard or somebody. In any event, get your questions and comments in. It is going to be your turn to hit it. So let's see what's going on and what's on your mind. Man, I know you've got a couple of things. Do we want to get into it yet, or shall I continue with my commentary here? I hate it when they kill the channel. Man, here we go. Folks, get your comments down below. I'll get you on screen just like Mr. Uman here. He says, it seems to be getting serious about arresting the ICE protesters after they started getting violent with Chicago police that were there to, quote, protect them from getting attacked by ICE and Border Patrol agents. Yeah, isn't that funny? The police show up. Chicago PD, CPD shows up to protect the protesters from the evil federal law enforcement. And now that turns around, they're tired of getting beat on violently by these violent fucking protesters. They're not protesters, they're terrorists. Terrorists. Yeah, it's pretty serious. Pretty nasty. I think law enforcement is starting to learn that they're hated by everybody. They're hated by people for not doing their job. And then they're hated by people that they think they're doing their job, but those people hate them too. Left wing, right? So nothing like making enemies of everybody. But very quickly, while we're on the topic of Antifa, Antifa have been designated a terror organization, or at least we are told they are. We know they're terrorists, but we are told the government designated them as a terror organization. Even though that's happened, guess what? Idiot Democrat elected officials show up to events wearing Antifa shirts. What number? You're admitting to being a fucking terrorist, right? No one pays any attention anymore. It's all about echo chambers and preaching to the choir and not wanting to know all sides of a story, or at least more than one side. Everyone just seems hyper-focused and hyper-vigilant, and they're not paying attention to the big picture, which is what I try doing on here to the best I can with respect to all topics, always with a bent, an angle, though, of course. And I'll admit this, to what are they doing to our country? What are they doing to destroy our country? What should we do in response to them destroying our country? SHTF. But yeah, so ICE, bad, evil. Border Patrol, bad, evil. Department of Homeland Security, bad and evil. Until you start getting your fucking brains bashed in by these left-wing lunatics who are being prompted by left-wing politicians and lied about by the mainstream media that says they're mostly peaceful when we know they're not. The media, the government, idiots. And they're pushing this. There's actually now a sub-Antifa gang that call themselves the Hammer Knockers or some such thing. But what they're doing now is they've decided that if they choose, if this terror group, which is Antifa Hammer Strike, if they decide you're a conservative, you are right-wing, they will attack you with hammers. Hammers. They will gang attack you, knock you to the ground, and their objective is to beat you with hammers and break your bones. I just caught this today on Twitter X. Multiple videos of people being attacked by Antifa with hammers, beating their faces, beating their legs, beating their ribs, beating their arms. They don't give a fuck because you are not one of them. And their mission is to create an anarcho-communist setup. They really think there's not going to be a lot of government. They're just going to naturally be communists. That's really what they believe, that we don't need government. We don't need authoritarianism. We're just going to live as communists and agree with everyone. We're all going to agree on communism. Well, who's going to enforce the rules? Well, they will. The communists will decide who the really good communists are or not. This really reminds me of, Animal Farm, where some animals are more equal than others. And that's what we got, a bunch of fucking animals on the street. These animals from other countries, these third world immigrants that were brought in by Biden, are now gang looting jewelry stores, regular stores, food stores. They don't give a fuck. They've got nothing to lose at this point. Or rather, they've got everything to lose if they allow themselves to be caught, and everything to gain if they act like animals. And they are. They are. They're not Americans. They don't want freedom. They don't want liberty. They don't want opportunity. They want free shit. That's what communists want. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to earn it. They want to take it from someone else. Antifa are terrorists. Antifa are assaulting police. Antifa are also now using hammers on people. Once again, are you prepared for it? My recommendation is if you see anybody around you wearing a hoodie, not a good sign. Anyone around you wearing a hoodie with sunglasses, you better really get your antennas up. Anyone wearing a hoodie with a mask and or sunglasses, you know you are dealing with someone who is hiding their identity, attempting to hide their identity. And if you see more than one, if you see two or more, you are about to have a very bad day. My recommendation is extricate yourself from the situation and the environment, meaning get the fuck out of there. One of the videos I saw, we haven't had this trouble in months and months and months. Isn't that incredible? Months and months and months. We get the old YouTube channel back that has 80,000 subscribers. Well, it's 79,900. And all of a sudden, we're having camera issues again. I don't know how this stuff works. What I do know, though, is that one of the videos I saw today was of a store, a clothing store. And it shows a woman walking in and walking up to a clothing rack, followed by two people with hoodies and masks on their face. They throw her to the ground, start beating the shit out of her with a hammer. They lock the door to the store. And what they said was, what they discovered was, it looked like a right wing. It looked like a Republican store. So time to beat people almost to fucking death with hammers. And interesting, folks, don't let the women fool you. This was women attacking a woman in a clothing store. Woman Antifa. Female Antifa. Hell, they could have been trannies for all I fucking know. But they're not afraid to get violent. They're becoming more violent. They are a terror organization. They've been designated or supposedly designated as such, and they're coming after all of us. They're coming after all of us. Beware, be wary, be armed with protective devices that are lawful or legal in your area. The gentleman, the old guy, I think he was 79 years old, had 3 teenage thugs break into his fucking house. He shot and killed them. The parents think that, well, I mean, I'm going to give you a paraphrase quote from one of the mothers. My son was only there to rob him and he killed him. That's excessive force. How does anyone know if you're going to be robbed or fucking murdered or both? You don't. If they're breaking into your house and they've got weapons, it's a pretty safe assumption that they're there to rob you and kill you. And you have a right to use deadly force. Look, you don't even have to be threatened. The law is great bodily harm and injury or death. Meaning if someone's going to beat you within an inch of your life, you don't know, right? You can defend yourself. Right? There's nothing. These kids probably told him, we're going to fucking kill you, old man. Right? Well, he wasn't going to have any of that. But this is the mentality of criminals. Is they're going to do what? right? They're going to do whatever the fuck they want, right? Up to killing you. And especially when there's more than one, they'll gang stomp you. These kids are no longer just beating people. They get you on the ground. They'll literally start stomping on your fucking head and kicking you in the face. It is no longer a fucking game. It is no longer cute. It is no longer silly. They're no longer protesters. It's certainly not mostly peaceful. And they are targeting individuals who appear weak, are not paying attention, that are outnumbered, and are often not in overpopulated areas. In other words, if you're in a lightly populated area where it looks like no one is going to come to your rescue. We're now seeing some people getting, well, rowdy on buses and trains or subways, and other people are starting to stand up and say, hey, bully, why don't you take a fucking seat and leave people alone? But not enough of that. There's people still sitting there pretending to be busy on their phone while a girl is getting harassed by a fucking street thug and threatened, right? We need more Daniel Pennies. We need more people standing up, but you can get arrested, right? Just like these parents calling for an old man to be arrested for defending himself from 3 fucking thugs who busted into his house with weapons and were threatening him. There you have it. Okay, that was a great topic, Mr. Uman. And look out for bears. Yeah, definitely have a gun, bear spray, human spray, right? A chemical deterrent, a lead deterrent. Well, stun gun, right? Stun gun is not lethal in most cases, right? Chemicals like mace, bear spray, pepper spray, not lethal, right? But defend yourselves. And definitely one of the best things to do is not put yourself in a situation or identifying the situation and getting the hell out of there, right? Get the hell out of there. And don't be afraid to scream and yell for attention. Someone starts giving you attention you don't want, call for help. There might be a big guy somewhere close to you, around the corner in a store, around the corner on the street. They just might come and fucking stomp some people and protect you, because we do have that right. We have the right to protect others, not just ourselves, but protect others and use up to deadly force if the situation warrants it. All righty. The whole thing, look, we've got problems with these Muslims. We've got problems with, well, Israelis. And this came out today. It is getting to be a louder argument with these people like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and Rabbi Shmuley attacking Americans for being Americans and not supporting Israel. Being anti-Israel is not a crime, and it is not wrong. It's a political opinion. And Israel, after what it's done to Gaza, how it's created a hero out of a rapist, and how they pretend totally not to understand that more than half the world is very pissed off at them. They're just now a shitty little unruly country. Tucker Carlson, huge name, right? He is a Gen Xer. And then you've got that Nick Fuentes guy. He's speaking to the Gen Z and Centennials and such, right? They're pissed. Tucker Carlson has actually come out and now warned Ben Shapiro and other pro-Israel influencers and talking heads to stop belittling Americans and stop talking down at us and labeling us as Nazis for refusing to support the secular state of Israel. And Tucker Carlson, here's a quote. And I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. Just understand the quote for what it is. You can look back at history. You can look where we're at now. But this is the quote. If you keep this up, you're inviting a real backlash. Not the Nick Fuentes kind, a real one. Now, what did Tucker mean by that? Read into it yourself. right? There's big problems in our country, folks. Americans love America. Americans are America first. But we've got people in this country in both parties that are supporting anti-American groups, anti-American concepts, anti-American politics, anti-American laws. And you and I, folks, we're trapped in the middle. You're trapped in the middle because this country has been for sale. Our politicians have made it clear they're for sale. Whether you're talking about a state politician like Governor Hot Wheels Greg Abbott, or talking about our national figures like Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Donald Trump has taken, get this, folks, literally over $200 million from AIPAC, which is the America-Israeli Political Action Committee. Greg Abbott in Texas has taken money from, his biggest donor is a Pakistani Muslim. That's the report I saw on the news. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I can be wrong. I'm just a guy. But I'm seeing other countries use their money to come after all of us and take over America. Ukraine's using our own money against us, right? We send money to Ukraine, they steal it, and then they send it back to politicians to buy support with our own money. But folks, the whole anti-Israel thing, the whole anti-Muslim thing, the whole anti-Europe thing, the whole anti-Ukraine thing, I think it's because Americans have had enough of other countries fucking with us, whether it's politicians or immigrants or corporations or banks. They're playing the ethnic card, the race card, the fucking religious card. They're playing every card in the book because they know most of America are a bunch of fucking simps, a bunch of weaklings who are afraid to criticize protected groups. Being a prepper, being awake, being right here. We've talked about all of these groups, including the LGBTQIA pedophile groups. Remember when you couldn't talk about them? We had our Patreon account obliterated because I said too many mean things about, well, pedophiles who are exposing themselves to children at the drag queen story hour. Oh, John, you can't do that. Well, yeah, I think we found out who they are, have we not? The war is on. Anyways, Tucker Carlson, not afraid. Nick Fuentes, not afraid. Prepared Mind, I'm not afraid. I try and be careful. I don't want anyone saying, yeah, you look like Hitler's wet dream. No, I just look like a guy who's got European genetics. Descendant. I'm a descendant of Europeans. Big deal. I don't love Sweden. I don't send any of my money to Sweden. I don't send any of my money to Germany. I don't claim to be a German citizen. I want everything to go right for Germany. Fucking Germans are idiots now. They destroyed their last nuclear power plant last month, and then this month they said, maybe we should look into nuclear power again. You just fucking demolished a nuclear power plant. What's wrong with you, you stupid fucking Germans? They're weak. They've been guilted by Israel. They've been guilted by everyone for World War II. How are they able to do that? I'll tell you how they're able to do that. Because they lied about fucking history and they lied about everything. A Jewish man, just the other day, I don't know if it was the other day, but the news of this was reported that supposedly he died in World War II in a concentration camp that the Nazis had. He's alive. He's listed as one of the dead, right? To pad the numbers. And it's just, everything is blackmail, bullshit, extortion, bribery, fraud, theft at the highest levels. And they're keeping most of the world contained and controlled. And when you get out of hand, like Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes, you get out of hand, they sick their fucking attack dogs, Mark Levin, and threaten you. In fact, the Babylon Bee, which normally I laugh at, and discovered, well, it appears that some Israelis are in charge of that. Well, they threatened Megyn Kelly with a joke that said, the way Megyn Kelly, and I'm paraphrasing again, basically they said she's going to give up her beeper because she's afraid for her life. That was kind of a shot at Israel too, for having beepers and cell phones and our technological devices blow up and kill people. And come to find out, Israel had explosives put in their electronics devices that they gave and made available to their enemies. So it was a veiled threat towards Megyn Kelly. It was also an indictment of Mossad and Israel, that they'll do anything they can in any way they can and use any excuse they need to fucking kill you. Muslims are doing the same thing, folks. They come in and pretend to be weak. They get a foothold. They bring in all their people. They get a population base up and they start praying on the sidewalks. There's a fucking idiot who they're boarding the plane and he decides to fall on his face and start praying to Allah in the fucking aisle. You might want to ask, what's wrong with these people? They know exactly what they're fucking doing. They're telling us they're going to take over our country. They're telling us the Americans are stupid. They're brainwashed. They're dumbasses. Therefore, just keep pushing them and eventually we'll have enough population, I don't know, like Dearborn, Michigan, that they'll just overrun everybody. And then they'll come to your house and they will enter it and they will take what they want and do what they want and make you pay a tax. Take them at their word. They're being honest now. Look at Europe. They're being honest now. Look at what Israel's doing. They're being honest now. Look at what Ukraine is doing. They're being honest now and going in and destroying churches and they're fucking arresting everybody. They're being honest about who they are. It's dangerous as fuck. Anyways, I'm an America First guy. I love Americans. I don't care what your skin color is. I love Americans. If you love America too, we're on the same team. If you don't love America and you're here, get the fuck out, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, enough of my shit. Mr. Uman, what's the next topic? Hey, we got Jeffrey 9794 with a $2 super chat on a Friday free-for-all. He says, well, we're going to make some people mad here, Jeffrey. If you say Jesus is king, well, a lot of people will agree with you. A lot of people think that Jesus isn't king. A lot of people think that Jesus is been condemned to hell and is being boiled eternally in feces. That would be Israelis. That would be people who practice Talmudic Judaism, because that's what they've been taught and told. And so they make fun of Jesus on Israeli TV, and they spit on Christians and throw things at Christians and attack Christians. If you want to go to the Holy Land and tell everyone you're a Christian, Jerusalem, you're not going to be treated very well. In any event, Jesus is king. At least he's mine. Thank you, Jeffrey. It's not a religious show. This is not a religious show. But religion is one of the SHTF components. Have food, have water, have shelter, have clothing, have medicine, means of self-defense, have a plan, have communications gear, have solar power, have what you need to get by. Entertainment is one of the things that is not on Maslow's hierarchy, but having said that, books, games, cards, a Bible, I don't care, right? Have something to entertain yourself if you're not being shot at in it. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate the great support. And yeah, you just made people mad. Good job. Making people mad is one of the techniques that I try and use, is to make people think. And sometimes you have to shake them up. You have to wake them up, right? And one of the ways to do that is to make people mad. How many Americans are now waking up to what Muslims are doing. It's not because they're happy. It's because someone showed them something that pissed them off, and now they're awake. Same with the Israelis. Look, most people didn't give a shit until they saw pictures of Gaza. It is no longer just some bombed out buildings. It's fucking leveled. It's leveled. Literally, the whole city is fucking leveled to the ground. It's a pile of stinking, smoldering rubble. I don't know how anyone can even live there at all, but still, right? I'm sure there's a lot of propaganda about that. I know it's propaganda on all sides. I know it. It is an information war. It's a psychological war. Anyways, crazy business. Okay, Mr. Uman, let us continue with the crowd. It is the free-for-all Friday. We got a good crowd here. And Diving Frog says, he says, Diving Frog says, I saw pictures of Darfur in Sudan. The entire village looks like someone sprayed a fire hose full of blood in a 360-degree pattern. You can't miss the blood. What I can tell you, folks, is genocide is a lot of places. It's not just in Gaza. The Somalis, the Yemen, right? Niger is a big place. Tanzania, South Africa. There's a lot of places that have a lot of violence that's hidden. And some of it is state sponsored. And I'm not just talking about Israel, and I'm not just talking about Ukraine, where they're committing genocide. Yeah, Ukraine is committing genocide. They're literally taking their own people and forcing them into the military, pushing them to the front line with the Russians, who essentially have a fully funded, mechanized, industrial killing machine. It's like a fucking wood chipper they're diving headfirst into. And it's not Russia making the people do that. Russia is not telling Ukrainians, you have to do this. Zelensky and the European Union and NATO is telling Ukrainians, you're in the military and you're going to go fight Russia. Crazy business. But I'm sorry that you saw a picture of, looks like a fucking massacre. Did anyone see that picture of the hospital that was bombed in Gaza? And that a bunch of workers and doctors and rescue workers went, and regular people trying to help the injured and dead, and they hit it with another fucking missile and just vaporized everyone. Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff. And again, I don't have any problem with terrorists being eliminated because they're terrorists. Terrorists will kill you. The only thing stopping American Antifa terrorists from killing people all the time, because they are killing people, folks, no doubt, is that they don't want to go to prison if they're caught. So they just maim people. They just assault them and batter them. But they're starting to get more and more violent. Terrorists everywhere need to be wiped out, in my opinion. They're absolutely pointless human beings. Absolutely pointless human beings. And speaking of pointless human beings, Democrat National Committee staff members are pissed off. Not at Trump. They're being pissed off at their Democrat National Committee bosses because they've been told that, by February, which is 4 months away. 3 months away. By February, you have to go back to work in the office. It's to me, it's unbelievable that after 4 years, these fucking Democrat morons think working from home is going to protect them from COVID. Wasn't that years ago? Yeah. Or I guess maybe they're working at other jobs and collecting multiple salaries from the Democrats, and they're not happy with that. It's probably both, though. It's probably a little both. They're probably wearing masks in their own homes and in their cars, and then they're probably working 2 or 3 jobs from home. And collecting those paychecks. That's kind of basically how Democrats are. They like welfare and taking more than they deserve because, they deserve it. The idea of I deserve. How about I've earned it? When people say I deserve, I'm like, no. Did you earn it? And they go, what do you mean earn it? I go, did you earn it? Right? Did what you do warrant what you're asking for or getting? Just a fair question, I think. All righty, let's do this. Mr. Uman, let's have some more fun with the crowd. And CJ Cam is in the house and says, yes, some of the real radical leftist revolutionaries openly talk about eliminating opponents if necessary, and they are arming up. Yeah, they have their gun clubs. We've seen Antifa has their gun clubs. Is it the Jim Brown or Tom Brown or some kind of brown person gun club? And then they've got, well, the LGBTQ pedophiles. They have their gun clubs. And they actually wear shirts that have guns and knives on them that say things like, protect yourselves if you're LGBTQP. They're fucking pedophiles. Minor attracted persons. No, just get rid of the M and the A. You're not minor attracted. You're fucking pedophiles. And they are arming up. I don't know if they're doing it faster than the rest of us. I don't know if they're getting more weapons as Antifa and other violent groups as fast as normies are waking up and going, hey, hey, hey. Well, if you didn't wake up during 2020, right, you're probably a little more behind the eight ball on how to be prepared. But I think that woke a lot of people up, and maybe they're starting to see it. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you, CJ Cam. Ooh, who else we got out there? We've got Cottage Farm. Woohoo! Cottage Farm, longtime supporter of the channel, says, I had a delivery the other day. My son had pulled out in plain sight all my bottled water. The delivery guy says, I guess you're all stocked up. If only he knew the rats and mice got to enjoy water. I don't know how to address this other than to say, when other people see what we have, they're going to make a note of it and covet it. I had a friend tell me that his place was robbed, that it had been staked out. He wasn't there, and people showed up and took his valuables, or what they considered to be valuable that was his. Right? My suggestion is, with the public, don't show them what you have. Don't make it easy, right? A delivery person, they usually leave stuff on your porch. But if you meet them at the door, right, having guns, right, that lets them know there's something worth stealing there. Right? Be careful. Even people that smile and act nice, they can put on an act. It's an act. They can put on an act just as easily as a politician can lie right to your fucking face. Right? I let people know when I meet them, what you see is what you get. And if you think you want this, you don't want to get it. It's going to be bad for you. And seems to work. No one's assaulted me in quite some time. But I think we are being threatened due to ignorance. Let me go with a couple of quick stories here. We're going to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. Justice Neil Gorsuch made a statement and said the lack of basic knowledge with respect to American civics is a major threat to the country. Basically, not knowing how government operates is a threat to the country. That's why government, or rather schools, used to require you pass a civics test on the Constitution. In order to pass out of 8th grade, you had to know the Constitution and pass a test. You had to have a basic understanding of how government works and what government's role is. I agree with Justice Gorsuch, which doesn't happen all the time. I think most people, if not most, many, are grossly ignorant of both the spirit and the letter of the law. And the law being the Constitution. Not stupid freaking statutes and regulations, the law. And by the way, I have a message for Mr. Gorsuch. Get that retard Ketanji Brown Jackson out of SCOTUS, Supreme Court. She knows nothing about law, much less how to think like a human. She's a fucking embarrassment. Now, to continue with education. A UC San Diego report, okay, University of California, San Diego, indicates that students entering college in California lack 8th grade math skills. Our education system is a success. It is now a success for the socialists who want dumb, incapable dunderheads who just believe everything they're programmed with by teachers, right? And because of their brainwashing and lack of any understanding, they don't have the capacity to figure out problems on their own, nor understand, right, why their beliefs they have don't jive with reality. Look at these Antifa people. They believe something. And when faced with reality, they get mad. Other stupid people, like these foreigners that come to this country, they don't understand. They can't figure out problems. And so they react violently. I really do believe a lot of these foreigners are losing their fucking marbles because of, well, culture shock. And they're flat ass lack of understanding anything civilized. They don't know how to behave civilized. All they understand is force, brute force, and violence, because that's what they lived with. They come here and no one's treating them violently. They're like children that need to be told no. Right? That's how children learn. No. Good job. No. And if you're a bad no, you get whack. Pat on the butt. No. There's a penalty. These people that come from other countries, no one's going to spank them on the ass. You can tell them no, but that doesn't mean anything then, because they've already learned. You do whatever you want until someone beats you. And then you get sneakier about it so you don't get caught. Crazy business. Okay, Mr. Uman, let's continue, shall we? Prepared Mind, Friday free for all, and it is Northern Pike here with a $5 super chat. He says, John, what do you think? Genocide doesn't have to be violent. PFAs, synthetics in the medicines, food, water, vitamins, the jabs. Yeah. No, the genocide doesn't have to be war and bullets or swords and fists. I think that America is dumbed down. You'll be hard-pressed to find anyone to argue with you on that. But they've been dumbed down enough, and we've been brainwashed enough that we're supposed to trust experts. Every time I trust an expert, guess what? I lose money, I lose time, I lose property. I don't listen to fucking experts, right? They told you to trust the science. What did we learn? Science will fucking poison you. Science will poison your food. Science will lie to you. Doctors are no longer trusted. Nurses are fucking not trusted. And I knew this before COVID. Don't trust doctors. Question doctors. Question them. Hell, when was it? It had to be back in 2007. I was speaking with a doctor and a surgeon, and I said, why are you doing these procedures? Someone has an upset stomach, so you remove their gallbladder? Well, they had gallstones. I said, remove the gallstones. Well, they could grow back. Oh, so you created a lifetime of medical fucking trouble for this person because you were either too lazy or you felt it was easier to do the surgery and get all kinds of money and then put these people on prescription drugs so they can digest food almost like a normal human. Fucking at that point, I'm like, you know what? You either played stupid or you fucking lied to me or a little of both. This is a fucking doctor. And I'm not a doctor. I'm a contractor, a general contractor. Yeah, don't trust. They're synthetics. They're plastics, what they put in the food, in the air, in the water, in the medicine, in the vaccines. It's pretty much all but done. Autism, according to medical experts, physicians, research scientists, statisticians, say that autism, sudden infant death syndrome, medical complications, allergies, and numerous other problems are caused by vaccines. It's almost like they're doing it on purpose. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wild business. Thank you, Northern Pike, for the great support. And by the way, a reminder here at 45 minutes into the Friday free-for-all, Sunday Night Live, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on all Prepared Mind channels will be live. Okay, Mr. Uman, who is next? And it's Cottage Farm again, who says, Donald J. Trump. Americans aren't smart, so we need H-1B immigrants. The visa people, right? Man, we were all stupid. Trump is a puppet. Well, Cottage Farm, it's getting harder and harder on a daily basis to argue with that. Right? Trump and H-1B immigrants. The question is, who is Trump really fighting for? Is he fighting for Americans, or is he fighting to keep cheap labor in the country? He knows he's supposed to get rid of the illegals, but H-1Bs are legal people. Who is he fighting for? Is he America first? Right? He told us he doesn't need us because we won't accept that Epstein and his child rape island is real. It's not a fucking hoax. Then they keep lying about that, right? Anyways, I dug into this a little bit. Apparently, according to statisticians and other people who have gathered information about the H-1B visas that come in and what jobs they get, about 80% of them take entry-level jobs from Americans. No skill level, right? So for unskilled, untrained, uneducated Americans who just want a regular job, 80% of the foreigners coming here are taking those jobs, and they accept lower wages. Now, for the other 20% that are skilled jobs, those are also being taken from Americans, but it's being taken from them by H-1B visa holders who come to America with diplomas. Turns out that when investigated, the facts are, and investigators have reported, that the college degrees claimed by H-1B immigrants, many and probably a majority of them, are fraudulent. They pay a bunch of money, they're given a diploma so they can come over here and take jobs. And they show up to American corporations, and then they get the job because of H-1B visa holders in human resources, so they can load a company full of cheap labor, and then they'll train them. But they're pushing Americans out of jobs, both skilled and unskilled. And the other jobs, look out. AI is replacing them. Robotics is replacing people. Yeah, who is Trump fighting for? Is he fighting for Americans and American jobs and American prosperity, the American dream? Is Trump America first? Or are you seeing something else with your own eyes? Right? I can't tell you what to believe. I can just share some facts, share some evidence, share some stories. It's up to you to decide if it's valuable, reliable, believable. And I say use your own eyes, use your own mind, and figure it out. Right? Best we can do. Thank you again, Cottage Farm. Hope to see you Sunday. We'll be back Sunday for Sunday Night Live. And man, who's next? I've got a couple more things I want to talk about, but it is a big Friday. It's an important one. And Simon Wagstaff writes, Donald J. Trump. This must be a quote from Donald J. Trump. We're going to have 50-year mortgages because insurance companies don't make enough on 30-year mortgages. Did he really say that? No. It's kind of I guess I'm going to guess this is a paraphrase based on other statements he's made, but your conclusion is this is what he's saying. Uman is essentially saying, John, you actually interpreted that properly. Thank you, Uman, for the vote of confidence. Yeah, we're going to have 50-year mortgages now. If you buy a house when you're 20 and you get a 50-year mortgage, you won't have it paid off if you take 50 years until you're 70, until you're after the current Social Security retirement age. 20-year-olds aren't buying fucking houses, folks. 30-year-olds are barely able to get into houses. 30 and 50 is 80 fucking years old. People don't even live that long. You'll never pay off your fucking house. So you're renting it from a bank. The bank never did anything. All you did was go to the bank and say, I need you to lend me money. You give it to the homeowner. You have this house. And you're renting it from the bank, paying all the fucking maintenance. You rent a house from someone else, you're not paying the maintenance. You rent from somebody, rent an apartment, a condo, a house. You rent a fifth wheel, right? You're renting it. You're not paying for it. You buy a house, you're in charge of the rent, the insurance, maintenance. You take all the fucking risks, and you're going to die before you even pay the fucking thing off. Essentially, the way I see this is my interpretation. Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum told the world, you will own nothing and be happy. And this is one of the ways they can do it in America. Why bother owning a house when you can just rent one and not have all the responsibilities? Because having a 50-year mortgage, you're fucking screwed. You're screwed. Home ownership is just a lost fucking cause at this point. The system is broke. The reason I say don't worry about it, their system is going to fail. It cannot support itself. This idea they're creating that we'll own nothing and we'll be happy. You won't own your car. You won't own your house. You'll be lucky if you have a job. Lucky job, but what? Right? They're taking everything from us. Every time this has been tried by every government, whether it's a pope or a king, a warlord or communists, bankers and charlatans, every time they screw people enough, people end up either walking away and leaving them to just fucking die, except there's nowhere else to go these days. You can't just leave a country and immigrate somewhere else. Right? We figured out that we're trapped on a prison planet, or people rebel and kings lose their head, and queens and aristocrats and bankers and politicians and warlords. They all end up getting killed. They don't fucking learn. They don't learn. Right? These people are dangerous. And they'll do it to themselves. Okay, prime example. I won't even go into the prime example. Right? People that they don't learn. They just keep doing the same thing. And then they try playing victim or claiming godlike authority over others. That doesn't work. Not when you're starving people and stealing their property. Fuck, the slaves under Pharaoh in the Bible paid less in taxes than we do. What was their one mistake? Trying to leave Egypt. So the Pharaoh sent an army after them. That's how that story goes, and then Moses parts the sea, the Israelites escape, and the sea crushes and kills the army. If you take it literal, it's got a great lesson in it. If you take it as a metaphor, it still makes sense, right? You'll be swallowed up. You'll be swallowed up if you try and stop the people from escaping. These people in control won't give up, folks. They're using every tool in the book that they can. They're trying to use force, education, media, social pressure, right? Monetary pressure, everything. Folks, independent media, this channel and others like it. We have 100% evidence that independent media is both reliable and it's also SHTF dangerous to the power in control, right? The powers that be. The powers that be don't want to tell us the truth. They don't want to do their job. They want us to shut up and go away. Trump said as much. I don't need you anymore, right? Yeah, you got all the power, dickhead. Right? Tucker Carlson right now, he is going to release information on the Trump assassination attempt in Butler County, Pennsylvania. What? That's right, folks. Isn't it funny how private citizens investigating do the job the FBI can't? The same goes for Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is the, what is she? Tulsi Gabbard is the Director of National Intelligence, the DNI. She is providing evidence of treason. She's providing evidence of crimes. And I'm no Tulsi Gabbard fan because, well, she doesn't like people having the Second Amendment, and she's a Democrat. But she's doing a better fucking job than all of the Republicans that we see. She's provided evidence of crimes and even treason. Yet Kash Patel, I'm a bitch to my girlfriend Patel, and Bimbo Pam Bondi have done nothing to prosecute with all the evidence they've been provided. But they want Tucker to shut up. They want you to not question the jab or the election or the immigrants or our allies over in Europe and Ukraine and Israel and where the fuck else? Where else have we got allies? Well, that is actually shrinking now. I don't know if you're aware of this. Every country that is signing a treaty with China or Russia over trade, also India and Brazil, they're signing deals with those countries to cooperate rather than to be, well, forced, browbeaten, etc. All right, we've got just a few minutes left. Mr. Uman, what are we going to do next? We've got Northern Pike is back with another $5 super chat. He says, what you think? Laughing out loud, H1B sounds like a viral infection. It actually does. It sounds like something that politicians need to be vaccinated for. That's crazy business. Thank you for that. You know, talking about viral infections, I really do believe that anti-Americanism is a viral infection. In fact, I wanted to give you guys an SHTF lawfare update. They won't quit. They're not going to stop. They're not going to go away. All these people that are infected with anti-Americanism, the only thing that is going to protect them ultimately is leticillin. Not recommending anyone do anything harmful or dangerous, but that's the only thing that's going to ultimately stop them. At every level, at the street level where we live, with government at the state level, with government at the federal level, they won't stop what they're doing. Get this, just hours before there was game over, a new prosecutor has been chosen in Georgia, this would be Fulton County, to replace fat-ass Fannie Willis in their reckless bullshit RICO case against Trump. Right now, this new prosecutor down there in Fulton County, Georgia, that wants to go after Trump may or may not continue this sham case. But so far, the evidence is that anti-Americans are blind to the law and the Constitution. They don't care. I think it's going to be interesting to watch and see if they start backing off, if they're going to back off. And in my opinion, they don't want to back off. They would rather fight to the death over this. Now, maybe they'll stop some things and lick their wounds and quit, but other things they're not going to quit. Antifa's not going to quit. Muslims aren't going to quit. The Ukrainians aren't going to quit. World Economic Forum's not going to quit. Israel's not going to quit. City of London's not going to quit. The Vatican is not going to quit. In fact, the Pope of the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope is now in support of LGBTQ pedophilia. And he wants to meet with them in the Vatican. This is the same asshole who says we should open all of our borders. Yet this motherfucker, the Pope, and I don't mind calling him that at this point, has walls made of stone, fences, gates, and guards to keep people out of his Vatican, out of his world. It says we should have to suffer that. Once again, elitist, fucked up mentality. Whether they think they're kings or popes or just elected politicians, they're here to make your life hell and take everything you've got. Chance favors the prepared mind. Are you ready for what's coming? Semper Fi, I'll see you all Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right here